It's a two-sided place. You can get to all those locations, but there can also be stuff at all those locations.
Alright, so we got both of our runners starting at Link's house, and they're both heading over toward Lake Hylia. I wonder if either of them will check it, or are they just going straight to somewhere else?
I think it's standard stuff that we saw lately in the tournament is check the item and then go to Sarshwala.
The only difference I see between this start and others from the tournament is some people choose to kill a couple of the guards using these signs that you get, but that's just to manipulate a better tree pole prize later on. ₹100 in Quake in Saha's closet is pretty good. We can't use that Quake until we get a sword, though.
But based on what Missing Maya ends up being, we might need it.
Right, and pretty much only Meyer is the medallion that we're worried about, since we have other methods of getting to different parts of Turtle Rock, barring the medallion entrance. We get a map check out of Gem, we get the red crystal at Desert, and 2 regular crystals at Eastern and Hera.
So we got early boots, so Bonkrux is an early check.
One of the nice things about starting with the boots outright. So Chris is going to go check Lumberjack, and it looks like Gem is following suit.
In most cases, the item at Lumberjack is pretty much the only thing that says Aga 1 or not. Technically, there are other cases, but they're never coming up.
And we have a hammer in the Lumberjack Cave. Now, it is technically possible to have a seed not require the hammer, but that is very unlikely.
Well, we got 3 crystals in the light world, so it's at least possible. You would, of course, need Swamp Palace, Palace of Darkness, and Ice Palace to be pendants in that case.
That's correct.
And of course, no progression on the left side of Ganon's tower.
Other than Lumberjack being required, there is one other instance I can think of where Aga is technically required by logic, and that would be if the Mirror or Moon Pearl is on the pyramid and locks the other.
Yeah, you could technically still skip it as long as you find a single bottle, but logically that's not in there.
Or you could also just do a one-frame clip off of Death Mountain, but those are not required out of our runners today. They can do it if they so wish, but it's very likely they won't go for it. You actually can bypass the barrier for Aghanim's Tower, but I don't think either of our runners will be able to, or will go for that. It's a fairly recent discovery, and not one that comes up that often, since you're guaranteed to have the cape or 2 swords, or cape and a sword or 2 swords in order to even access Aga Tower. But once inside, there's nothing you can do other than climb it normally. So we got the Bombos medallion out of the Thief's Hut, and now we're in Kakariko Well. And we get our first bottle.
So now we can get some items in Dark World without problems, and the bow. So even with all those glitches we have, 100% of the time required, at least as long as we are not going glitches higher than Overworld.
Right, we do still need the bow in order to climb Ganon's tower, and of course we need it for Eastern Palace's crystal. So Gem opting to pick up some bombs, considering he doesn't really have a whole lot in terms of weaponry. No sword and no arrows.
There are some arrows when they are going into Desert Palace, which will probably be one of the next checks, but you do want some additional bombs without any more consistent weapons.
Especially since they got a couple of the bomb upgrades already, you're able to get the full value out of the purchase of 10. And there we have a power glove in the library, which makes completing some of the checks on this side of the world very simple, since we can go to Checkerboard Cave right away.
And if we find the fire rod, we can actually just go ahead and clear out Land Monas without any big problems, and we'll be able to get out of there without second quit.
Christos opting to go ahead and steal the race game item.
I think he did this every time since he learned this trick, just to practice this one. Gem meanwhile just goes ahead and does it anyway, normal way.
And now we see our first dip into Desert Palace, which is a pretty common location just after Kakariko, considering you can clear out the front of it entirely, having the boots as a starting item.
Of course, Bootstock Desert is no problem in this.
Now, there are 2 items to find in Desert, and we haven't seen either of them yet. I believe we just saw the compass here. Oh no, we did see one of them, bombs. So there's one more item left in Desert.
And that item is either in the big chest or on the boss.
So luckily, with all the arrow pods in Desert, we're able to stock up on some of our ammunition for a better weapon than bombs.
Then make Mini Muldum and some other shakes where you have to kill enemies much easier. These bombs are still more consistent for me, though.
And with that, Desert is done for now. We only need to return later for the crystal. Now it is a red crystal, so we might need it for the Pyramid Fairy. However, we do have ways of checking the Pyramid Fairy without needing both of the red crystals.
Well, in version 30 there will be one more use for the red crystals, but even that use will not be that often coming out for us.
So this should be the last thing that Christos... Oh no, he still has Agina's cave, so he's going to do Checkerboard here, then Agina, and then probably save and quit and do the South Shore. We find the half magic here in Checkerboard, which is pretty nice.
The big miracle, how do you do this cave without mirror?
And there we go. To answer a question in chat, what do the red crystals mean? Those crystals are what unlock the use of the super bomb found in the bomb shop at the Dark World. We use that to open up the pyramid crack in the wall so that we can talk to the pyramid fairy. But we have a way of getting around that super bomb requirement.
Like I said earlier, in version 30 there will be another use for us with that big bomb, and that would be opening Hype Cave.
Right, if you don't have any... That bomb does actually open up the cave, although it doesn't really have any use unless you're in the Dark World as a bunny.
Which can happen to you, and may be required by our runners. Also, we are finding the last medallion, so no matter if Maya is a crystal or not, we will be able to complete it.
So now we continue along the south shore with blue mail found underwater outside the dam. And now we are headed to Mini Moldorm Cave. Christos opting to use his bombs to blow up the Mini Moldorms. Wasted one, but otherwise was able to kill them all pretty quickly.
Yeah, there was one Mini Moldorm that really wanted him. So, it wasn't a fair fight.
We find the red mail and the sanctuary heart in the Mini Moldorm Cave. We're able to differentiate between the sanctuary heart and the regular heart containers because the sanctuary heart gives her a full health refill once picking it up.
Too bad we can't say it if you have full hearts, but most of the time, if you have hearts, you don't want a refill anyway.
And Christos skipping the Ice Rod Cave for now to go and check some of the other water-based locations, opting to go for the Waterfall Ferry first. Silver arrows and the lamp. Boy, does that scream Eastern Palace to me.
Well, we are bound to find the lamp quite soon anyway, if the hammer is in logic for anything.
And we see the hookshot on the Zora ledge. So this isn't going to work for Christos there.
Christos?
He needed the moon pearl in order for that to work. Instead, he could have just clipped to the ledge on Zora there, but maybe he was thinking there would be too many Zoras to deal with, so he thought he had another water walk with him, but nope, need the moon pearl for that.
You can actually, if you want to do the clip, you can actually buy the Zora item before that. You just need the money for it.
Well, not really. The way you would do that is if you had an armed water walk, like with the boots dashing out of a cave, and then walk on water in some other means, like exiting the Waterfall Ferry with the Moon Pearl. But you would need it to be armed somehow. Since he was already walking on water, there was no way he could get the Zora ledge unless he clipped to it. As well as getting the Zora item, that is. But not having enough money, we're not able to check Zora yet anyway.
Yeah, meanwhile, Shaq decided to arm the waterwalk and take Clipper to Hobo, and being able to waterwalk out of Hobo and check the items Christos just checked.
So Christos decided to dip into Eastern Palace, has so far found the map. There are 3 items to find here, and here's chest number 2 with the big key. Gem saving quitting out of the Zora's domain. Maybe he's unaware that he can clip to it, because that is something that you can do and could be required by logic.
I don't think the clip is actually in logic. You need.
Yes, it is. It's definitely that clip is definitely in Logic. Oh wait, you're saying because it needs Moon Pearl. Okay. So yeah. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah, it needs Moon Pearl for the double water walk. You can get it without the flippers, but you would need the double water walk for it to be in logic.
So Jim decided to, after saving and quitting, go back up to the Zora area. So I wonder if he's going to try the clip now where he's not going to lose the items at a waterfall. I think that's what his concern was getting stuck from being hit by one of these Zoras.
I think he would have been able to save and quit anyway.
I mean, after getting the hookshot, yes, but I think he wanted to save the items he got out of South Shore and all of that, considering that he just lost his water walking right then and there.
He still would have been able to save and quit without the ledge item at this point.
That's true. So while we were talking about the whole water walking in Zora's domain, we find the mitts in Eastern Palace.
That item exists, sir?
It does, unfortunately. Now, mitts does not really unlock a whole lot for us. You would still need the Moon Pearl for a lot of Dark World navigation, just like with no glitches, seeds. But what it does unlock eventually is Ice Palace, and the Smithy sequence.
Yeah, it's in the end 6 item it unlocks directly.
And with that, Christos picks up his first crystal from Eastern Palace, as Gem follows closely behind.
So at this point, we are probably going to see a Death Mountain Ascent from our runners after Eastern.
Yeah, and I imagine that Christos is going to use the classic Death Mountain. Oh, no. Is he going somewhere else? He's going south again. I wonder if he's heading toward deserts? Or is he going for the hookshot now?
Looks like hookshot or Ice Rod Cave.
That's right, he did skip that just a little while ago.
If you would have wanted to go to Ice Rod, there is a really nice clip that you can do from Eastern, especially from the Flute Point 5, that brings you directly to Ice Rod Cave.
There's actually one you can do that's right outside of Link's house there, but it messes a whole bunch with screen wrapping and such, so you wouldn't be able to do anything afterward.
Yeah, and even though Ice Rod Cave looks like a double multi-entrance cave, it's not resetting you three like one. It's just codes as a single entrance.
Yeah, there is actually a way where you can get out the other exit from the first one, but it doesn't change your overworld position at all, considering it's one of those that's on the secondary map of locations. Anyway, Christos has his water walk armed and is likely going to go try for the hookshot now.
I think he will first go ahead and do Hobo.
Well, he just lost his water walking, and I bet he doesn't realize it. You have to get that fake flipper the first try.
I've seen it so often that people were like, oh, I lost my water walk.
And he still doesn't have Pearl, so this isn't going to work out for him.
We are sorry, Christos.
So now I might see a Death Mountain Ascent, and Christos is likely going to use the classic one, where you teleport upwards over the screen transition and then go over to Death Mountain. And after that, you have to correct your camera a bit, otherwise the transition into the Old Man Cave winds up taking about 2 minutes.
Yeah, the game doesn't like being confused, even though it's programmed like that. Also, even though we got the lamp, I don't think this is actually logic because the lamp was found with a normal water walk.
I think you're right on that, since I think the waterfall chests have Pearl as part of their logic, not the boots.
Well, that's not true. I think for V30 that's going to be changed to boots, giving you them.
I mean, it's still in logic due to having the glove and a lamp, but outside of that, yeah. Oh, but that's right. Lamp was found in Waterfall, and we would need Moon Pearl for that. It's hard to keep it in check, keep it all in check at times. So Gem is opting to go for the King's Tomb after completing Eastern. Something that Christos has not gone for yet, even though he has the mitts. So far, it's just a bomb upgrade.
Well, we just found something, one of the best items in the game, in Spectacle Rock, and Christos decides I have one of those, I don't need more.
Oh, it was a bottle?
Yep, bottle. And yeah, bottles are really broken in this game, just as Ocarina of Time.
But not the most broken item, though.
Well, the most broken item we can actually use to its full extent.
In Overworld glitches, it would probably be the boots as the most broken item. Beyond that, next would be bottles.
Well, boots are in logic, so no problem with that.
There's still lots of things you can do out of logic with them. Beyond just shortcuts.
Yeah, Mirror is also one of those items that is literally broken in Overworld glitches.
And we find the shovel in the Dark Cross chest in Escape. And I missed what was in the 3 chests in the back of Escape there.
Well, I saw a key and I think one item, but I didn't saw the other one.
Yeah, I think one of them had to be a key, considering Gem went backwards through Escape to get there. And we find the powder up in Paradox Cave.
Shed tells us 2 heart pieces and the key, I believe Shed.
And then some money and other heart pieces found in the rest of the chests of Paradox.
Shed is asking if major glitches are allowed in these ways, and they are pretty much required. As long as you are on the Overworld, pretty much all major glitches are allowed.
And Christos is opting to go into the Dark World here to check Super Bunny Cave. Named because when you're going through this cave from the bottom, as he's doing, you automatically get into the Super Bunny state by falling down a hole.
Since he doesn't have the mirror, he will have to go the long way around.
Now, in the Super Bunny state, he can slash his sword, dash, open up chests, and pick up pots. That is something. Those are things that you can't do as a regular bunny.
But picking up pots is a bit weird because you instantly throw them.
We find a sword and a heart piece in Super Bunny Cave. Now, that's all that he can do in the Dark World for now on that side, so he has to take a save and quit.
At this point, it's a question, what is still left? I would say Hera, and otherwise we got pretty much everything. And the one just general check it soon.
Looks like Gem is going for the classic Death Mountain ascent. It looks like he's not going quite far enough into the cliff in order to get the upward teleport.
Yeah, you need to be on a quite precise amount of pixels to get it. Either 8 pixels for upwards or 9 pixels for downwards. We also just found the mirror on Christos' side.
And that is the second item in Hera, so we won't need to go into the basement and wait for the tile room there.
We're right now unlocking, like, seriously, a big chunk of Skullwoods and 2 chests in Village of the Outcast, as well as Pyramid Ferry and the Pyramid Ledge item.
Yeah, the mirror is one of the more important items you want to find in overworld glitches, at least in terms of logically available things.
Well, you usually hope to find it after the moon puzzle, because without the mirror, the mirror unlocks quite a lot of stuff that's really unoptimal to check.
Right, because you are expected to know how to get off of Death Mountain using the pearl, but without the moon, or using the mirror, but without the moon pearl. And that lets you check things like the Village of Outcasts, as well as Skull Woods, all as Bunny Link.
Also, I just realized there's one more thing that the mirror just unlocked. At least, actually 2 more things, and that is Maya Shed.
Yeah, because we can clip onto that little ledge where the 2 dark rocks are in the bottom corner of deserts, and get to Mire that way. And it looks like Christos is going to go straight for the Pyramid Ferry.
Which is a good call. It's 3 quick items, doesn't take that long, and it's quite easy to do.
It's going to be interesting to see how he winds up getting back to the castle courtyard, because he does have red mail and a fair number of hearts, so he may just wind up doing a downward, or try to clip through the ledge here after correcting his camera in the old man cave here, and then just getting to castle in a normal fashion.
Well, I saw a quite nice way earlier in this tournament, and that was using the time to clip into the graveyard ledge and doing a cooldown afterwards.
Right, because clipping off of Death Mountain in the many ways that you can somehow messes up the camera when you're coming from above, and then that means you can just Houlihan automatically, no matter which hole you fall into.
Of course, he could have also, at that point, turned in his mitts for 1 more item at King's Tomb, which we know it's not required, but that's routing.
Right, that is still something that he may need to check later on. It is important that Christos enters his portal while facing up, otherwise he won't be able to enter the cave properly here. Now, entering the cave at the same time as a mirror transition, which happens to also change your world here, gives you the Super Bunny and allows you to open the chests. However, his mirror portal was so high that he has to kind of kick himself out of the cave by entering and exiting a few times.
Yeah, that's quite unfortunate. If you place it low enough, you can get out first try, even with some quite easy setups.
And there's our second sword on the pyramid.
Someone feels the Ganon.
Yeah, that does unlock our Aghanim now, so we could go and get our hammer right away. And that kind of looks like what Christos is going to do.
Well, with pendants, we have them. We don't need the hammer, actually. Swamp Palace are green, Ice Palace and Palace of Darkness being the other pendants.
Oh, wow! So this might actually be the mythical hammer not required Overworld glitches seed? I guess it depends on what else, where else the other items we need for the other dungeons are, but we better keep track of that to see if the hammer was required at all.
That will definitely be a quite nice thing to see. Such a seed is not very usual.
So Christos is climbing Aghanim's tower now. There's not much he can do to speed this up other than execute well. So for the meantime, Jem finds his sword in the Super Bunny Cave and will likely be going to the Pyramid Fairy soon after. Probably will complete Hera first because that's where the mirror is. So we should be fine there. Although instead, it looks like he is going south, maybe for another stab at the at desert or something.
I have no clue where he's going for now.
Could be going for Mire Shed. Oh, he's getting
Zora.
money. Yeah, money for Zora.
Maybe afterwards, my shot, which would be a shake that Christos probably will not do unless he has nothing else left.
Right. I think Christos would want to have the Pearl before heading down to Mire, since he has other things he can do in the Dark World.
Especially with all three medallions, he doesn't even need to find out if he will need to search for one.
That's also true.
So we will see if Jem will use the world here to get himself some super money in this year, or if he will take the mirror.
He doesn't have the mirror, so he would have to rely on this damage to get it.
Oh, right. And he got it. That's nice.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's only junk.
Well, we saw that we need to equip Quake once we are going over here, so that's nice.
Looks like Jem is opting to arm a water walk here by the Uncle Hole in order to get back to Zora's domain and try to get the hookshot again.
Yeah, he did bonk that. That interrupts himself the dash and arms the water walk. It's the same as used in Summer of the Woods. To get to the Western Dark World, East Dark World, if you don't have any other means to get there, to skip Ganon that way. But it's also nice to just do it for this one case.
Now, Jem is probably going to pay Zora here regardless, and he's trying to make sure he doesn't pick up the item automatically, because as soon as he does, he loses his water walking state. And since it's junk, he's very happy to skip it for now. However, he still needs to clip onto the ledge in order to get the hook shot, and that can be a bit troublesome with all the Zoras around.
Yeah, he might want to kill a few of the Zoras first try before that.
Looks like he's going for a spin speed clip, and now he just has to walk around this shrubbery to get to the hook shot.
I didn't know that existed, and I struggled so often getting the clip. I'm getting the hookshot out of logic. Well, it's required to beat against tower logically, but outside of OWG, okay, there is nothing we can at least get around without it.
And so now Gem is climbing Hera to get the mirror that he needs to go get another sword from Pyramid. Although, we need to find where the Moon Pearl is before we can really do some damage to the other dungeons in the Dark World.
Yeah, once you will have the mirror, we may be able to just go ahead and find the stuff in either Scrowwoods or huge areas around Seastown. Meanwhile, Christos getting the clip quite nicely.
Now there is actually a specific point where you can clip into that slope, and it jumps you pretty much right on the item. As far as I know, the window for it is very small, and because of the waviness of the water around it, it's kind of hard to make sure you're on the right pixel for it.
Yeah, I think people that actually try that clip use the shadow of the wall that's around at the water to get some somewhat consistent lineup.
And I think Christos is going to dip into GT. No, he can't dip into GT now. He does need to have the Moon Pearl before that's in Logic, unless he decides to do some one frames. But considering that it's out of Logic, oh, he is going for it though. So he is using one frames to clip into the slope little by little until he gets to a point where he can jump to the entrance of Ganon's tower. Now, as I was saying, this is out of Logic. Actually, I wonder when the last time Christos went for a one-frame Ganon clip like this. Tries for it once and didn't get it, so he's going to try something else.
Yeah, this is not even just out of Logic. It's really hard to do. You need to, when doing a strike profile, you need to reselect exactly 5 frames after you close the select menu. The shovel from escape doesn't give anything.
However, I think Gem is going to go in complete desert now, since he is in the area for it.
Another thing he would be kind of in the area for would be the magic bed.
That's true, and we do have a way of getting there without going into the Dark World, and is actually required by Logic. Sadly, Gem got an upward teleport there, which means he didn't go far enough into the clip. Meanwhile, Christos did beat him into the back of desert here.
There will not be any items left in here, but the crystal is still required, even though we can technically clip into Ganon's quite easily.
Right, we do still need all 7 crystals and Aghanim 2 dead before we can finish off Ganon.
Something interesting to note here, Christos does have Master Sword and Hammer, which are both doing much more damage to Lambonos than Fighter Sword. But Bruce will be able to do it with Silvers.
And now we still have to wonder, where is that Moon Pearl? It's very likely in a place like Skull Woods, could be Ice Palace, could also be in Village of Outcasts. There's a couple of items we can get there using the mirror to Super Bunny into the C-shaped house or the chest game. And it looks like Gem is going to go turn in the powder at the Magic Bat.
Which of course is also one of those items that can still have the Moon Pearl.
And Christos is heading into Ice Palace now. He could full clear it if need be, but likely it won't need to be full cleared. Now again, we need to pay attention to the items that we find in here, especially where we find them, to see if that hammer was even needed.
But first we will have to die. Because we have no Moon Pearl, we will have to die in this dungeon to get back to Link State. We are actually in real Dark World, because Christos has done boost, getting the mirror and beaten Aghanim 1.
Yeah, so he is still in the real Dark World here because of that, as you were saying. If Aghanim were dead, or if he didn't have the mirror, we would actually be put into a state called Fake Dark World, where you're still on the same Overworld screen in Dark World, but the game thinks you're in Light World. Oh, and I think we saw an infinite scroll out of Gem. I think he was trying to do a Death Mountain descent using the mirror, but did not move correctly in order to do that. There is a setup that you can do so that you can just hit the transition and it just kind of works well once, and then you bear go into the sanctuary to fix your camera and then go back into your portal. But it takes a very precise set of movements, and I don't think he got it there.
Yeah, you need to first line up with the rock that's over the portal, and then line up with the rock below the portal to get the camera quite right.
Yeah, it's both pixel perfect and camera perfect, which is kind of weird to think about, because a lot of the overworld transitions are based on where Link hits the edge of the screen transition. So it's one of those very weird things that tends to prop up when you're looking for some weird things to happen.
Well, and even if you get it, it's based on the movement pattern of a Link. You need to hit the screen transition perfectly.
And that's the third try that did not work. Now we could always go for the classic mirror Death Mountain descent, which is over by the broken bridge in the on the bottom part of Death Mountain.
Or we could decide to do pretty much the same as we do with Fat Fairy and place a mirror portal, but who wants to do that? And it looks like Gem decides to go ahead and do this the normal way.
Alright, so far in Ice Palace, we've only got the compass. So, still need to pay attention to the items. There's 3 to find in here. And there's our big key.
He has the hookshot, so he can just clip through one of his blocks.
And there's our first item of 300 rupees. Oh, and Gem transitioned a little bit too far to the right and wound up stuck on the waterfall there.
Yeah, you want actually to walk onto the left of the block you walked off. At this point, it's just hard to watch them.
Alright, looks like Gem gets it this time. Gets the transition to work out for him. And now he just has to go into the sanctuary to fix his camera and then back out, and his mirror portal will be somewhere nearby, and he can get into the Village of Outcasts area.
Yeah, the mirror portal will actually be one screen to the left, so don't wonder that he's going to the left and finds mirror portal there.
Alright, so these next 2 chests in Ice Palace are indeed hammer-locked, so we get to see if there's anything important here.
And Gem decided to check the bumper ledge item. I personally always forget to check that one. It's quite easy to forget and never come back to that one and miss the ice on there or something.
Alright, just a small key and a map, so pretty much not required at the moment. There could still be something on Cold Stair, which does require the hammer too.
Gem is right now trying to set up Super Bunny while entering this. He will hit the...
And we find the Moon Pearl in Ice Palace. But not hammerlocked, by the way.
Yeah. He could get that one without hammer. And that means so far we don't need Ganon. But the question will be, will Gem decide to go into Ice Palace without hammer? I personally would not do that. Did Gem check the chess game as well? I didn't saw that on him.
So Gem is
wants
waiting
to be grabbed.
Yeah, Gem is looking to get grabbed by a Wall Master, because that still gives you a link state, but it keeps you in the Dark World. And since Aghanim 1 isn't dead, if he did die here, it would put him in the fake Dark World state.
Christos seems to have some problems with hammer codes there. He luckily has a few red potions, so it doesn't hurt him as much.
And there's our third bottle as one of the items out of Skull Woods. And the red rupees, that's the second item out of Skull Woods. So we are done with this dungeon until we find the Fire Rod.
Which of course we hope is not hammerlocked. Hammerlocked would be boring.
Indeed. Now, as some in chat were pointing out earlier, Gem did not have quite enough money to go do the chest game, so he opted to go into Skull Woods to maybe get a little bit of cash. And now he has to Super Bunny his way into there and pay the merchants. He's luring the thief over there right now because getting knocked back by an enemy does put you in the Super Bunny state when you go into a building, as we saw when Gem went to the Meyer shed earlier. And inside we find the flippers.
There's actually an enemy in the directly in front of the house, but I think he didn't want it to get damaged. The thieves don't damage you.
And now Christos is going into GT in logic now that he has the Pearl. Does not have the cane, so we won't be able to clear the full extent of the right side, but does have the hook and hammer, so the full left is available. Meanwhile, Gem looks to be heading into Ice Palace without the hammer, and will be rewarded with the Moon Pearl.
Christos just found 2 useless items. There's nothing to even talk about.
Well, alright then.
Gem died on purpose in here to get revived as Link.
Alright, so far just a couple of small keys out of the left side. We do need to pay attention to these chests as they will reveal if that hammer was indeed required.
Christos has only bombs to hit the crystal switch, but bombs are nice. They are quite lenient in what you do.
Alright, just 4 more chests on the left side. Now we have found 3 small keys on this side, which is rather heavy. I think by logic we did need to get the hammer, but we'll see if we can complete the seed without it anyway. Only mushroom and books, so we got some side questing action, but no definitive answer as to whether or not the hammer has been required yet.
We can of course check those items, and we hope that Christos does so soon before we forget that those items are hammerlocked.
Of course, if we do find either the cane or the fire rod in these last few chests, then the hammer was indeed required.
Well, if we find the fire, the hammer was required, but we can get around that.
We can, yes, indeed. There is a bomb jump you can do for the right side to light all the torches, using only the lamp.
Christos getting a really nice fight with the Armor Knights.
And we got nothing out of the entirety of the left side. So the big key is on the right side, which does require the Cane of Samaria to get to.
So, logically, hammer required. PT because of all the small keys, but we can pretty much skip that for beatability. Christos says, I want that user's item to be activated. Why so?
Well, despite it not having any real use logically, it's still helpful to have to travel around the world in certain respects, especially since we have a hammer and a glove.
Yeah, it sure does help, but they cleared out quite a lot of lightworks at this point, so it will not be as useful.
And Gem picks up the Moon Pearl in Pendant Ice Palace.
And says, okay, I don't need hammer.
For now. And there's our answer. We need it now.
If no glitches would be allowed, that would be quite easy to reach anyway, but since those are not allowed to us, we will have to get the hammer at some point on Gem's side.
Alright, so Gem looks to be going toward Hookshot Cave, as well as going down to, I believe, Catfish. Could also try dipping into Turtle Rock, because the cane could be in the few chests that you can reach in there.
Of course, if he would find the cane right now, it would be nice to shake Turtle Rock afterwards. It would not be optimal.
Granted, he won't be able to complete it because he needs that fire rod that was found on the shroom found in left side of Ganon's tower.
That was a lot of red in the hookshot cave, while Christos picked up something more red in Thieves Town.
Oh, and we have the cane. So, alright, we are just missing the ice rod for go mode, I believe.
Well, we got pretty much everything else, so yeah.
Looks like Gem is going for a clip to the laser bridge in Turtle Rock. This is a recent discovery to allow us access to the laser bridge without the mirror. Now, this is something that is out of logic, so everything you find
saw
here.
That run before.
Yeah, it's fairly new. It's only a couple of days old.
Zeus forecasts that Gender's check are completely out of logic. They will require the big key into the rock as well as some number of small keys and the cane of Samaria.
So now it looks like that Gem is going to go to the Pyramid Ferry, I think. Oh, nope, opting to go into Ganon's tower without any means of getting anything except for the first three chests, the torch and the two on the right.
Unlucky. If he would have gone for Pyramid Ferry, he would have been able to pick up his second spot and would have thought, maybe I do want that hammer.
Right, because he has, I believe he's already cleared out Escape in its entirety. So the only thing left for him in that pyramid area outside of the ferry would be the Aghanim Tower climb.
If we just put again the question, to what will be required to be the run of this game? We will need to be the Aghanim 2, Ganon's Tower, and we need to complete all 7 crystal dungeons. And of course, we will afterwards need to have at least a Master Sword to beat Ganon.
As well as a fire source to light the torches.
Well, in this mode, it only needs that to Ganon's Tower.
Not quite a perfect scripted fight from Christos there on blind, but pretty close. A perfect fight would have not gotten damaged at all.
He was closer to perfect fights than I ever will be.
So unfortunately for our runners, despite having access to so many different locations, we need to find only one item that is only locking one thing, the crystal for Turtle Rock. And unfortunately, that ice rod could be anywhere else in the world, including the top of Ganon's tower.
Yeah, and imagine Christos deciding to grab those few chests on the right side and the tower somewhat soon, but first there's a few more checks he can do quite quickly in dungeons.
Yeah, he might as well go through the dungeons that he can. He does still need to find the big key in Tower of Hera, so that is a bigger incentive to go back into GT and clear out the right side, and then head upstairs.
So, Torch, what do you think will contain the ice rod? What location?
Based on what we found already, I think it's going to be in Swamp on the left side. Just because.
I would say Swamp has big chest with the big key on the boss.
Ah, so we're both thinking along the same lines. Just a big old time waste in Swamp. Just to get the ice rod.
The sea just screamed for it.
Having found both items in Skull Woods, Christos is just going to go straight to the boss. I imagine he could also go in and check the pedestal right after killing Mothula. So we might see it there.
No, that's a bit too mean for the siege. It at least gave you some items early on.
And while Christos has been clearing out Skull Woods, Jem has returned to the village of outcasts to Klima Thieves Town. Was unable to open up the big chest, but it didn't have anything of import in there, despite lacking the hammer. So we still need to see Aghanim's tower at a gem, and after that we need to see a dip into Ganon's tower to get that mushroom, so that we can get the fire rod.
But I would guess that beating Aghanim is right at the lowest point of Jem's priority list.
Have magic coming in good use for Christos against Mothula there.
Boost players holding up the crystal at the same time, and of course boost players got the map from their respective dungeon boss.
And now we get a pedestal check out of Christos here. Just a heart container, so Pet is dead. This next play out of Christos could be either Ganon's tower or a dip into Turtle Rock, although I imagine he's going for Ganon's tower first.
You don't really want to go into the rock without the ice rod, you can do it if it's really your last item check or you only have a swamp pass otherwise, but most people will try to go in there in go mode, or at least have all items to complete it.
Especially since we can skip a large portion of the dungeon by entering right in the middle. You find the Cane of Birna in the digging game, and now Gem is exiting the digging game screen. I wonder if he hasn't done Hype Cave yet, so we do still need to go do that. Looks like he's opting for the Smithy sequence first.
Which is completely logical. He can do the Smith sequence, he can check hammer pegs.
He cannot check hammer pegs.
Oh, right.
He's the hammer for that.
There's a problem for him. And ChristosOwen gets grabbed while trying to wait out the room.
Sadly, he does not have the cape to cheese that room.
Yeah, cape would make this room really trivial. You would just stand at the wall, hit the A button, and wait.
Unfortunately, it's just 10 arrows. Meanwhile, Gem is still continuing the South Loop in the Dark World, having just checked the Stumpy Kid while carrying the purple chest. There's our big key. And just one more item over here, a red rupee. So Ganon's Tower holding pretty much just the mushroom for the fire rod so far.
ChristosOwen decided to pick up this key. He will have to still go through this part of the run for the big chest. Executes that room really nicely. It's really hard to do that room without taking damage and getting thrown off.
It's easy if you walk, it's harder when you want to dash.
I just use can of burn. If I don't have it, that room is impossible. And Gem decides to go into Swamp Palace and check the first chest in here.
But he knows where the hammer is. So the first... I guess he's looking for either rod at this point, still hoping that that hammer is completely optional.
Well, if this turns out to be the ice rod, this still would be quite nice for him. But Christos will probably find that before Gem decides to do the entire sequence. To be honest, I think the best item Gem could find here would be Cape or Master Sword.
Barring the ice rod, of course.
It would. The Cape or Cape or Ice Rod would bring him on. Cape or Master Sword would bring him on the right track, but he doesn't find it.
Realistically, he just needs to go to the pyramid to get his second sword, which would then open up the Aghanim's Tower climb for him. But instead it looks like he's heading into Misery Mire, and we'll be able to fully clear that dungeon now too.
At least he decided to not go in here without Kane.
Meanwhile, Christos is making his way upstairs, having just killed Land Mode 2, and is on his way to the Wizard's rooms, then the torches, and finally the chests.
Then decided to kill that bird. That's a good decision with Quake as the medallion, because Quake is the only medallion that does not work on that bird.
Right, and then he would wind up taking a whole bunch of damage from the bird passing over him a couple of times. Now, Jim actually opted to switch to the normal arrows before going through Mire 2 here in order to try to cut down on how much lag would come from the projectiles. Kind of an interesting choice.
Yeah, that's a feature that was added in the randomizer. Just hit the Y button and you can change between normal arrows and zero arrows, or flute and shovel, mushroom or powder, and either boomerang.
As well as cycle through your bottles. So far, 2 chests of junk upstairs in GT.
Getting a nice heart refill before Moldar takes it all away.
And we find the bug net.
Perfectly in time for Ganon.
Meanwhile, just the single arrow so far in Misery Mire. There's still one more item to find within the dungeon, I believe. I don't think we found anything else yet. And regardless, we still need to find the big key.
The keys Jim just found is definitely too small for that big hole.
There's our big key. And now we just need the big chest before dipping over toward Vitreous. Because I think... Go ahead.
He did decide to not check the vanilla big key chest at this point, just because it takes some time.
Also, I think at this point it's required to have a key in it.
He could also, of course, be Vitreous himself.
I didn't see any dust kicked up by Gems, so I guess he did not set up the spooky action glitch, so we will not see that out of him today.
Christos as well doesn't set it up, so most players will not save those 12 seconds.
Now Gem is up to the Vitreous fight, which should be very easy with the silver arrows. 1 shot per small eyeball, and then 2 for the big.
11 shots in total. Or 12 if you shoot too early.
Christos opting to use the cane here, so there's no chance of him going for any kind of spooky action glitch now in this dungeon, unless he chooses to void a block later. But I don't think we're going to see that. Gem has to go back into the dungeon to go get the cutscene chest, which happens to hold the second item. I was incorrect earlier in saying that it had to be a small key.
Yes, Chat actually corrected us and said that it could not be a key because that would mean the big key had to be in the other chest.
So Christos is going through Mire now, and we'll pick up the single arrow, the Mire crystal, and we'll see what the cutscene chest is in just a moment as Gem is lighting the torches.
For Gem's sake, I hope it's not the ice shot because Christos will find that in just a moment.
Yep, Chris is opting to go straight for the cutscene chest rather than leave it for after killing Vitreous here. And it's just a big 20.
It had the color that he wanted to see, it's just not the right shape.
And I think because Gem is lacking the hammer, this is his go-to way of getting to the Dark World at the moment. Going through the portal above Kakariko.
Yeah, especially with the flute. That one is quite quick to do.
And so I imagine he's heading over toward Palace of Darkness now to clear out everything except for Helmasaur King because he can't quite kill the big guy there, lacking the hammer.
Yeah, and of course that's one of the last few items that Jump will be able to get before having to decide to do what's it called Pyramid Ferry into Pyramid Ledge and Ganon 2. The fire rod, Jump just walked past it. It's behind Mushroom, which is behind the hammer.
Yeah, it's a bit of a convoluted sequence to get the fire rod here. Just a 300 rupee drop from the catfish, so nothing useful there. We've already paid off Zora and the bottle merchant.
And of course, all other rupee stuff as well. The digging game and chess game also take some rupees.
It looked like Gem was heading toward the pyramid, but then realized, wait a minute, I need to go do the pyramid ferry as well. And is likely going to go take care of that right away.
And once he sees that Master Sword there, I guess he will decide to say, okay, screw Path of Darkness, I'm going to get that hammer now.
And unless he does the bomb jump for right side, we'll have to take a second trip into Ganon's tower to clear the right side. Since the mushroom was found in left side GT, which locks our fire rod.
Like, Christos didn't hit the can the first time he did go in there, so Gem might decide, I can do that bomb jump, and try it a few times. Gem, unfortunately, also placing the portal quite high, so you will have to get out of periphery a few times.
And from here, I imagine Christos is going to head into T-Rock.
Jam finding his second spot.
And opts to head to Palace of Darkness anyway.
Yep, I don't. He will need to do A&M no matter what in the seat. But it looks like he doesn't want to do.
Alright, so Christos is now checking Hookshot Cave, which Gem already has done, so we know that the answer for the Ice Rod is not here. However, it could be Mimic Cave, as that is something we have not seen yet. In addition to a majority of Turtle Rock chests, anyway.
Then that goes through the board outside right now. He will afterwards have to mirror because without them he can't continue throughout the side.
Which is probably why he wants to do this side as early as possible, considering there could be other small keys or the big key locked over here.
Well, he actually gets forced over here because he doesn't have the small key found.
And Christos missed a block.
Nice to see that I'm not the only one that misses that thing.
And there's our Ice Rod in Palace of Darkness.
We are in no mode, not go mode, because both players have the wrong watch.
Now, unfortunately for Gem, he is going to wind up clearing out the rest of Palace of Darkness here, despite there being nothing of value for it to find.
It could at least hold the one or the other spot upward, which would be nice to find.
And we find the big key in the front area of Turtle Rock. So, since we saw a small key on the laser bridge, Christos could go for a wrap to go to that laser bridge immediately. Although I imagine he wants to check the other chests as well, since he's still looking for the Ice Rod. Christos pausing for a moment, deciding which way he wants to go. Looks like he's opting to go straight for the back first.
Yeah, the back has some more items than the two chests you would have been able to get in the other direction. And Jam decides to head over to the castle, and the only thing that he has left here should be the Aga 1 play, which is the right play.
Now, unfortunately for Gem, I believe there were some items that were hammerlocked in a couple of the locations he's already been. So it's going to be hard for him to figure out exactly where he needs to go once he has the hammer in hand.
Well, I would personally think that the first thing he would go for will be Turtle Rock, not Turtle Rock, Gansel, because there are quite a lot of items that he still has to get in there, and it's required to get through a big chunk of them till he finds the big key anyway.
Yeah, if he decides to go to Ganon's Tower after finding the hammer, this does put him in a decent spot, considering that our Fire Rod is locked from an item found in Ganon's Tower. And if he chooses to sequence break getting the big key there after getting the mushroom, he'll be able to do that all in one go, since our big key is Fire Rod locked, but our Fire Rod is found in something that's locked on the left side. This is getting confusing.
Yeah, being able to do only one trip into Ganon's Tower is a nice feat, and as Jack confirmed a few minutes ago, he actually did that same bomb jump that's required for that yesterday.
So at the very least, he knows how to sequence break it.
ChristosOwen looks like he's heading over to Place of Darkness, which would give him his go mode.
And considering that the dungeon is indeed bow-locked, he will be forced over to that side where the ice rod is hiding.
So this would be a quite quick trip for Christos.
And as Balayim is pointing out in chat, Christos is actually very, very close to being done, considering his only crystal left is Turtle Rock, and he already has Aghanim 2 dead. So the hole to Ganon is open.
Yeah, the walk from Turtle Rock to the hole in the turret is nice, but it's literally just a flute or 7 quid and then go from floor. But or in this case, you could actually just 7 quid and be at the hole.
Right, because Aghanim 1 is dead and he has the mirror, so a safe quit in the Dark World will spawn him right back on the pyramid. And there's the Ice Rod. We have now hit go mode at just under 1 hour 30 minutes.
Then just beat Iron 1 will be able to grab his hammer over here right now.
Christos getting Dead Rock locked, chooses to flute away real quick to reset the enemies.
Dead Rocks are the worst enemies in this game.
followed closely by mini Moldorms.
I would put boulders at the second place, just because they are so annoying.
Alright, so Christos is going to have to line up for this mirror wrap. He's got to get right up to the edge of the screen here. Missed it, so he's got to readjust again. Going to use a bomb to speed up the process.
Just need to make sure that he's not too high or too low. And gets it, that's nice. Meanwhile, jump checks the left side of Ganon's tower will get him his mushroom before he goes up the tower.
Now, having only the Master Sword, Christos does need to figure out how to deal enough damage, and it looks like he's going for hammer strats right now to kill the boss heads here.
Runs out of magic, but fortunately he has some potions, so that's not a problem. And Jam finds the item that will eventually lead him to Go mode. Christos got his 7th crystal, is now a Master Sword Silver's fight away from finishing the seat.
And it looks like he's going to flute down there and go into the Dark World and take the long route rather than just go for a save and quit.
Yeah, it's hard to remember that a save and quit would just help you out at routing. It usually just annoys you, annoys the heck out of you for forgetting to mirror.
Oh, now he realizes it.
Getting a nice position of Ganon and a double spin on in the first round.
Taken a fair amount of damage already, and I don't believe he has any potions to spare at the moment, so he's got to be careful. A Ganon hug will kill him. Well, I think it'll kill him now.
I think it should not, because he has red mail.
Meanwhile, Gem, after completing the left side of Ganon's tower, opts to go straight for the potion shop and picks up his fire rod. So now Gem, at 1 hour 35 minutes, has hit go mode.
Just 5 minutes after Christos. Unfortunately, the damage has been done. Are you guys counting? Are we getting the world record in Ganon teleports?
I lost count, but I saw about 4 of those in a row. That's 2 arrows down, just needs 2 more. And there's the last... Oh, nope, 1 more. And he gets a silverless hit.
Silverless is definitely easier than silvers, confirmed.
And there's the last hit. And with that, Christos finishes with an official SRTV time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 50 seconds.
Let's see if we can get him in here for a quick interview.
I'm not so sure. He's already done 3 seeds today, and he was already running pretty low on sleep, so I'll be surprised. Oh, he is at least in the setup room here, so he may be joining us here, despite being heavily sleep deprived.
We'll sleep anyway.
Meanwhile, Gem is finishing up Skull Woods here, and is now 1 crystal and a Ganon's Tower climb away from finishing this seed.
So, this rifle said it was a cool seed. Do you agree?
It had potential to be cooler, in my opinion, if only the hammer weren't actually required. And we are joined by Christos. Congratulations.
Yo, thank you. GG's.
GG's, taking this to game 3.
Yeah, I think almost every single matchup for this tournament has gone 1-1, and I think I've lost the first round every time. Except for maybe the first round or something. That was a really wild seed. That's been extremely different to all of the other Overworld glitches seeds I've played so far. It felt more like the old kind of major glitches type thing, having to go into Ice Palace as a bunny. I haven't done any bunny shenanigans for a long time. I completely forgot how to one-frame into GT.
Yeah, we saw that, but I was curious as to why you were doing that in the first place, considering you didn't have hammer or or really anything to clear out the chests other than the first 3.
No, I was stacked when I tried to do that. I had hammer, hookshot, bow, and a fire source. So I could clear left side GT and upstairs if the big key was on the left. So I was like, I'm gonna find something in here. Let's just go. Then I was like, well, where do I go for the moon pearl? I didn't think the moon pearl could be in ice in this mode. I was really trying to rack my brain for where I should go.
Well, one thing we were trying to keep tabs on was whether or not the hammer was actually required, and outside of the mushroom on the left side leading to Fire Rod, you didn't need the hammer at all.
Wow, was that really the only required use? Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seemed like that's what Gem was going for the longest time, so he, unfortunately, he didn't find a sword until very, very late in order to get into Aghanim's tower, so he couldn't get the hammer, and was forced to do a whole bunch of other checks.
Okay, wow. Well, I don't remember where the swords were now.
There was one in Super Bunny Cave and one on the pyramid.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that sequence of events actually went really smoothly for me. Doing right side of Death Mountain, like East Death Mountain first, and then into Super Bunny got me a sword, which let me beat Hera in one trip, and got me the mirror. Then I did Fat Fairy, which found me another sword, and then I could go straight into Aga's tower. It was like really convenient.
I mean, outside of the whole Fire Rod sequence that was required for this seed, it actually seemed pretty tame otherwise.
Yeah, I guess so. It didn't feel like it, playing it, honestly. Like, it came down to Ice Rod Hunt again, which I absolutely hate. I was just down to Pod or Swamp or a bunch of Overworld, and like I didn't even know where to start if it was on the Overworld. So I was doing Pod, and then if it wasn't there, I was going straight to Swamp.
Yeah, considering how late kind of the hammer checks came about, because I don't think you did the smithy sequence or hammer pegs or any of that, but Gem did, lacking the means of, or he couldn't do hammer pegs, but he did the smithy sequence and did the whole south loop in the Dark World off of that.
Okay. I guess if he didn't find the sword and therefore couldn't get hammer, his options were kind of limited for quite a while. But that one, well, I guess not. You just said it wasn't required for anything else. It didn't even occur to me that the hammer wouldn't be required. When I saw it on Lumberjack, I was like, oh, really? Aga's Tower?
Well, actually, that's usually a good thing if something's required there, because then you know you're going to have to do it, and so will your opponent, so... I usually don't bemoan finding something required on Aga Tower unless I forget to do it.
That's a good way of looking at it, actually.
But I was so excited for the prospect of this being a seed that didn't actually require the hammer, up until we saw the fire rod in the potion shop.
It was super close, though. But yeah, it was fun. It exposed how rusty I am with some of these glitches. I confused myself for quite a while trying to get a hookshot. I didn't think it would work the first time, but I thought I'd try it anyway, just in case it did work. And then
if you had the moon pearl, it might have worked. Okay,
but then yeah, the second time, I was sure it was going to work, and then I was like, oh, hold on a minute, I don't have, I don't have moon pearl, so no wonder this isn't working. Yeah, I lost quite a bit of time trying that. 3 attempts.
Yeah, I think it took Gem a couple of attempts to get it too, as well as he was having some trouble getting off of Death Mountain with the mirror since he was trying to do the weird screen wrap so you can leave your portal right outside of Sanctuary.
I've never even seen that. If Ice Palace hadn't have come through for me, I would have been doing 2010 DMD with the mirror, like over by the bridge, the broken bridge.
I.e. the logical way to do it.
Oh, is that actually what? I guess that is what the logic requires, isn't it?
Yeah, because it wouldn't require the screen wrap stuff, because that's a bit above what the mode is expected of players.
That makes sense. It's been such a long time since I've looked at what isn't required. I just know I need a clip everywhere. That's kind of all I remember.
Yeah, the actual requirements for the mode are really low. It's just the things you can do just explode all out over the place.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so fun. Honestly, this tournament has been the most fun of all the tournaments I've participated in.
Well, that and over the past week and a half or so, we've come up with a whole bunch of new clips to just bypass bits of the logic now, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the whole logic is in need of a rewrite pretty soon to start including some of these things. Yeah, that does make it really cool. The fact that the requirements are low, like you said, just learn how to teleport and clip for the most part, and then away you go. But the more you know, you'll get rewarded for it. So yeah. That's me done, actually. I've had 3 tournament matches today, and it's just gone midnight, and I am absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, we mentioned that before you came in here for the interview, so we'll go ahead and see you off here. Congrats again.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys for commentating. I think it was kind of late notice, so I appreciate that.
Yep, good luck in your next match.
Thank you. It's, me and... Gem's next match is tomorrow at 1 p.m. So 8 a.m. EDT,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think it's 8 or 8:30 in the morning in from Eastern U.S. time.
So all you keen Americans gonna be waking up early for that on a Sunday. We'll see. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and see you tomorrow.
Alright, so now Gem is climbing the upstairs of Ganon's tower, having just gotten the big key out of the right-hand side. So Gem is almost done with this seed. as soon as Aghanim 2 is dead, he'll be able to fall right into the hole and kill Ganon.
It's been juked by some of those skeletons. They don't like to go stay put for some arrows sometimes.
Yeah, he is a bit low on silvers here.
Well, he only needs 4. I'm sure he is good with silverless. Okay, he's now at 4, at 3. Gets a drop. I hope he will not pick that one up. There is one pot that's right after Lemmo 2.
Yeah, there is. There's a 5 pot that he could get, but he would have to hit all 3 of these in order to make sure the 1 cycle goes. He gets it. So now he he's now realizing he is out of arrows, so he might go for the arrow pot here. There it is. Now he's got enough for Ganon.
All the arrows he needs.
Alright, so now Gem is past the torches and is heading up toward the chests here. I don't imagine him... Oh, no, he's going to go for it, because he could find Tempered Sword up here, although we know it won't be.
Yeah. I'm actually wondering right now, where are the last threats? I guess...
Swamp Palace. That's pretty much the only place it could be, is Swamp Palace or some of the hammerlock locations on the Overworld, like Hammer Pegs. Oh, and he goes for one more arrow pot before Moldorm 2. I actually didn't know that pot was an arrow pot there, so that's good to know.
Yeah, I thought there are only 2 hard pots and full magic pot there.
There's the bug net, and so now we're on to the Aghanim 2 fight.
Let's see if he decides to do some Swaggernon threats, since he probably knows that he lost. So why not do some interesting threats?
We'll see. Barely misses the triple on the first cycle. And gets a single on the second.
Just going to be right on place for his trouble once he gets this.
Gets a double on the 4th cycle, and we'll be able to clean it out here on the 5th.
So 2-1-0-2-1.
So now we have to get 12 spins for the first 2 phases here each in order to move on to the 3rd phase. And then there's 4 spins, 1 for each wall of falling tiles to fall. And then just 4 silver arrows.
Or 24 more spins if you decide to don't have arrows.
He's opting to bust out the cape. That way he's able to get in more spins during this fire bat cycle.
Cape saves actually a lot of time if Ganon positions himself nicely.
Now, while he is low on magic, he doesn't need much for the Silver's kill, and beyond that, he does have a green potion in reserve.
There's now also some teleports.
Oh, and one of the flame spawns right on top of him. Misses the torch glitch, but again, shouldn't have too much of an issue, considering he still has that green potion just in case. Oh, but takes a nasty fall.
A nasty fall. And it looks like he forfeited.
Understandable, considering he's in about the same time zone as Christos and has been awake for about as long as well, having the tournament match earlier today as well.
So that's unfortunate that he could not finish, but still, get your GGs in chat. Jam did quite well. You will see that we can get him in for an interview.
And like we were saying earlier, their third game match is scheduled for tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you wish to catch the exciting conclusion of this match, you can tune in then.
And yeah, Jem will not join us for an interview because he's really tired, understandable. So while we are now finished, there are still some other stuff going on Speed Gaming. Mainly right now on Speed Gaming 1, some interactive races linked to the past randomizer even. And at 3 AM there will be some more stuff on Speed Gaming 3 and ALTTPR randomizer co-op tournament. So last on Speed Gaming 4, Link to the Past randomizer summer qualifiers on Speed Gaming 2 will start at 3:15, and it's for Zelda 1 randomizer.
So there's plenty more Zelda rando if here's what you're looking for.
We will now head off. I personally will also catch some sleep because it's 1:30.
Yeah, I guess you're over in that same time zone, so it's pretty late for you as well. So we'll go ahead and sign off here. All have a good day.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.